Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our cross-cultural talk show. Today we'll be discussing cultural communication differences that students may face when planning for internship abroad. I'm Aldrich, your host, and joining me today are Yacinta and Farrell, who are both students, and our guest Sarah, who has experience working in Saudi Arabia. Let's jump straight into the topic. Please go ahead, Sarah, and share your experiences from your past few years in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, thank you, Axel. So, in the past few years, I was in Saudi Arabia. It is very common to accept or decline an invitation with a yes or no, unlike in Indonesia, where people tend to avoid saying no directly to maintain harmony.
That's interesting, Sarah. So, people there are more direct in communication.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I think in Indonesia, saying maybe later often actually means no.
Mm,
Yeah, it shows how Indonesia is more high context and Saudi Arabia is closer to low context in daily communication.
that's a great example of how cultural context shapes communication. Uh, Yacinta, as a student planning for internship abroad, does this difference worry you?
Yes, it does. I'm worried that I might misunderstand people because I'm used to indirect communication.
So, Sarah, did this difference ever cause misunderstandings for you?
Yes, especially at the beginning.
Oh
Okay.
yeah? Can you give us an example?
Sure, sometimes I thought people were angry at me, but later I realized they were just being direct and wanted everything to be clear.
Okay. So the issue wasn't intention but interpretation, right?
Exactly.
That makes sense because people from high context culture often focus more on tone and implied meaning.
Mm. So, based on your experience, what advice would you give to students who plan to work or planning an internship abroad?
I think the most important thing is to stay open minded. People communicate differently, and being direct doesn't mean they are rude. It's simply part of their culture.
So, it's important not to take things personally.
Yes, exactly. If you take everything personally, it can lead to misunderstanding.
That's true, especially from student from high culture. That's true, especially for student from high context culture like Indonesia.
Oh, so we need to be aware of our own communication style.
And I think we need to adjust the way we communicate when necessary.
Yeah, so understanding cultural context can also help teamwork.
Definitely, it helps people communicate more efficiently and build better relationship at work.
Okay. So we've talked about high context and low context cultures, but in our class, we also learned about global dexterity.
To my knowledge, global dexterity is not just about knowing culture differences, but also about adapting our behavior in different culture situations.
Yeah, it means adjusting how we communicate and work without losing ourselves in the process.
Yes, I really relate to that.
How so, Sarah?
When I first worked in Saudi Arabia, I realized that understanding the culture wasn't enough. I had to change how I respond and communicate in daily situations.
Oh, so it's not only awareness, but also action.
Exactly.
Can you give an example of global dexterity in your work life?
Sure, when discussing work issues, I became more direct, but I stayed respectful. That way, my message was clear and the relationship remained positive.
Mm. So you adapted your communication style without losing your values.
Yes, That's what global dexterity means to me.
Okay, so today we discussed how cultural differences affect communications.
As a student planning to intern abroad, I realized that misunderstanding can happen if we're not aware of culture context.
And global dexterity help us adapt our behavior, not just understand the differences.
Yeah, from my experience, global dexterity is essential in international work environments. It allows us to communicate clearly while still respecting cultural values.
Okay, so for students who plan to work or to get an internship abroad, developing global dexterity is just as important as technical skills. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing your experience, and thank you, everyone, for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.